UFC Fight Night, Holm versus Bueno Silva. Full card betting breakdown. A little bit early, and I'm going to tell you that right now. It is Wednesday, July 7th. Not all of the odds are out. Not every single one of the bookies has their prop odds out, and, you know, it's an early betting breakdown for you guys that like to make bets a bit earlier on in the week. Obviously, we're going to do another betting breakdown video on Friday once we get more of the odds and they're more updated and things like that. But this is what I got for today's betting breakdown. We got 13 fights. You would maybe think 14, but Josh Parisian and Walt Harris just got canceled, and Walt Harris was flagged for a potential USADA violation. It wasn't an actual USADA violation. It just says it was a potential USADA violation. Predictions were going Harris on Tapology. I did have Parisian winning that fight. And I'll tell you right now, I would have actually bet a little bit on that underdog in Josh Parisian to get plus 165. And at one point, very, very early on, you're getting 2-1 odds on Josh Parisian. So those are the fights that got canceled, as well as Jafel Filio and Juan Camilo Ronderos. But, you know, that was canceled a very, very long time ago. So we'll start with the first one. Ashley Evan Smith and Aylin Perez at bantamweight, 5'8" and 67.5 inches. She's a lot taller and lengthy than Aylin Perez. I do have Aylin Perez winning, but what in the world were the odds like yesterday? They were... Or even now, I forgot. It just updated again. The odds have Aylin Perez, one of the most low-level women's MMA fighters right now, at minus 225. I know Ashley Evan Smith is also very, very low level, but guys, Aylin Perez is a bigger favorite than Victoria Ludakova. She was a 5-1 favorite at one point. Now he's at minus 182. Telling you right now, do not freaking put Aylin Perez in any of your bets. I wouldn't even risk it on the underdog for Ashley Evan Smith. I would venture to say with this fight, Ashley Evan Smith doesn't really get finished. Decision losses to Andrea Lee, Norma Damont, Ketlin Vieira as well. So I don't expect a finish. It is women's MMA. They could surprise us, but this is not a fight you want to be putting your hard-earned money on. It's a very, very risky fight to bet. And I'm going to be dead honest. I usually don't start off the first fight of the night of a UFC fight night with pass, but this is a for sure pass. Do not bet on the Ashley Evan Smith, Aylin Perez fight. You got a 36-year-old that's been gone for 2.5 years. And we have a 28-year-old that came into the UFC, got destroyed, and was beating up scrubs on the regional scene. Do not bet Ashley Evan Smith, Aylin Perez. Next fight, Alex Munoz, Carlos D in the third again. Like, dude, this man's been out for 2 years and 2 months. What in the world has he been doing? He is taller, he is lengthier, somehow a little bit younger than Carlos D in the third. Carlos has lost to a lot of low-level guys on the regional scene. And he was beating a couple of the okay guys as well. But I do think there's actually value on Alex Munoz. He wasn't the best when he was in the UFC about 2 years ago. That's right around like 2.5 years ago when he was fighting Nasrat Haqparast and Luis Pena. I remember doing those predictions. That was a very, very long time ago. He's got to have improved, and he didn't look bad against Luis Pena. Luis has not the best takedown defense, but it's okay. It's not absolutely horrible in my opinion. And he was able to land a lot of takedowns in that fight. He's the NCAA wrestler and things like that. But Carlos D in the third just got submitted by Joe Selecki, but he doesn't get submitted that often. The last one was, I think, freaking 9 years before that. Alex Munoz isn't much of a submission guy. So I think the money line isn't too bad on Alex Munoz Jr. Never mind. Did they freaking refresh it midway through? Wow. FightOdds.com really doing that to me. Minus 175 now. Never mind. I mean, that's crazy. He was at minus 135 like 2 seconds ago. Very, very odd. Never mind. Do not bet the money line on Alex Munoz. But I would sprinkle on an Alex Munoz by decision. Not yet. It's at plus 150 at the moment. But if it does get to plus 200 territory, that would be about a quarter unit to a half unit bet. As for right now, it's a pass. It's not one of the fights you want to bet a lot on, considering Munoz has not fought for over a year, and Carlos is a very, very low-level lightweight. Again, I would wait for the Alex Munoz by decision prop, and that would be about it. The money line is no longer good. I mean, for a second there, I was like, we're about to get a good money line here. Never mind. Never mind on that one. Next fight, Azat Maksum versus my man Tyson Nam at flyweight. 16-0 versus 21-13-1. You would think this would be an absolute domination, but you know Tyson Nam is not a man you want to be parlaying his opponent. You never want to parlay any opponent of Tyson Nam. That's not something you want to do. Remember, the Ode Osbourne fight. He was the same underdog odds as he is now against Azat Maksum. He was a 2-1 underdog against a top 15 guy in Bruno Silva. It was a 50-50 fight with top 10 Matt Schnell against Kai Kara France. Sergio Pettis, Bellator champ. Kai Kara France, UFC interim champ. He was less of an underdog than he is now against Azat Maksum. Do not parlay Azat Maksum. It's not worth it. Guys, it is not a worthwhile parlay piece. He's too big of a favorite at this moment in time. If he was in the minus 200s, I would consider it. But minus 450? Are you kidding me, guys? No. We are not doing any of that. But Azat Maksum is a finisher. Out of all of his 16 MMA wins, with 8 of those being against absolutely very, very low-level guys, he's only had, I believe, 2 or 3 decisions. What was it? 4 decision wins in his entire career. But the odds on him by decision aren't like horrible. They are at right now plus 225, which isn't bad in my opinion. But I see the trend going that it's an undefeated guy from Kazakhstan, 16-0, making his debut. Everyone is probably going to be hammering the Maksum inside the distance. I can already see if I can find the inside the distance one. It's minus money. You're getting minus 125 from plus 150. So money is rolling in on inside the distance. This one I would wait for. I would assume closer to the fight's date, you're going to get better and better odds for an Azat Maksum decision. So that's what I do. It's a waiting game. This isn't one you're going to want to bet at the moment, because you're only going to get plus 225. And again, a few days ago, you're getting plus 185. So I'd wait. I assume you get better odds in a few days. Evan Elder and Genaro Valdez in the lightweight division. Again, I mean, minus 300, even minus 400. I don't know how he's that big of a favorite on such a wacky, wild guy like Genaro Valdez. 100% of his wins coming inside the distance. Round number 1, round number 2, round number 3. He can finish it in any one of those rounds. Had a war, 3-minute war, but still a war nonetheless with Matt Frivola, which was interesting to say the least. Evan Elder coming off 2 losses, up a weight class, and then against Nazim Sadikov, who is very, very legit. The odds of this fight to go to a decision are very, very interesting to say the least. I think, Evan Elder's got finishing ability for sure. With 4 of his wins coming by knockout, but he's got 2 decision wins over not really that good guys not that long ago. Keegan Genrich as well as CJ Hunter. I'm going to be honest. He went to a decision in the UFC, got finished against Nazim, but that was looking like it was about to go to a decision. Genaro just went to a decision. I could assume that this fight's going to be a fight of the night contender for sure. But I could also see that Evan Elder doesn't have the power that a Matt Frivola had. And even then, he was able to survive for a very, very long time against a top 15 guy in Matt Frivola. So I'm going to be dead serious here. Evan Elder by decision has value. Because what are you getting on the finish? Minus 138? Really? There's no value on the money line. There's, heck, no value on the inside the distance. But it's worth like a $10, $15, very, very small play on that plus 350 For Evan Elder by decision, I'd give it probably like a 33. I'd give it like a 40% chance that Evan Elder goes out there and gets a decision win. I think it's very, very possible. So, and again, like I'm saying, you're not betting those money line odds on Evan Elder. There's actually a little bit of value on Genaro Valdez as well as that underdog, and we did see Evan Elder's toughness himself against Nazim Sadikov. It was only stopped due to a doctor stoppage. Didn't lose to Luis Pena. On the amateur scene, didn't lose by finish to Preston Parsons. Up a weight class, both guys are tough, coming off a few losses in the UFC. If you're not a guy out there confident on Evan Elder specifically, to win by decision is not much of a difference for just fight goes to a decision at plus 230. Either way, I would say about 50% chance it goes to a decision, 50% chance we see a finish. And then for Evan Elder by decision, 35 to 40% chance I see that happening. So I feel very good. Not about the bets hitting, because obviously I'm still giving him less than 50% chance of hitting. But there's value there. There is 100% value on those bets. Jack Della Maddalena, Basil Hafez. I'm going to say it now. This is one you're going to have to wait for the updated video on because, guys, we're not getting any props. I don't know why. It's been a day or two since the fight got announced. Still no props. Over 1.5 is at plus 170 right there. I'm not going to do anything with that. I'd rather just do Jack Della under 1.5 or Jack Della under half of a round or whatever the case may be. I still think this is parlayable. I'll be honest. The best you're going to get is at minus 524. And on BetOnline, those are the original odds. Start at minus 800, and underdog money did come in to get in a minus 500, minus 550 range. It's a lot better than most other guys in the UFC, considering against Danny Roberts, a UFC veteran, it was at minus 660, guys. It was at minus 60. He was a massive favorite on Danny Roberts right there. He's not that big, that much more of a favorite than he was against Pete Rodriguez or Randy Brown. So I would say there's some good odds there. I would not amazing odds, but I would say that's parlayable for Jack Della Maddalena. Again, the props aren't out yet, so we will talk about that on Friday. Melquizael Costa taking on Austin Lingo in the featherweight division. Finally, a natural weight class for Melquizael Costa. He's legit. He is legit when he's at featherweight. He's coming off a loss against Thiago Moises, where he showed decent submission defense for a while. In that fight, got some good knockout wins on the regional scene. Junior Melo, Tom Santos. Did lose to Italo Gomez, which was a fun fight indeed. In the featherweight division, got a lot of other finishes. First round. And I do believe this is going to be a close, competitive 29-28 decision, but there's not much value there. It's minus 120 for it to go the distance. It's not really a worthwhile bet. Lingo inside the distance, no. I mean, if you want to parlay not Austin Lingo inside the distance, you very, very well can. Considering he did lose the submission to Rafael Barboza. That was about 5 years ago. Lost a knockout. TKO type of thing to Elzamar Lima. That was about, 6 years ago. And then lost up a weight class on short notice to Thiago Moises. And if you look at Austin Lingo, 4 decision wins. All of those decisions inside the UFC. All of his wins are by decision. I mean, outside the UFC against like losing record type of guys, yeah, he was out there getting the finish, but inside the UFC, he's really a point fighter on the feet. Just kind of tap, take you down, grind you a little bit, and win a decision. So I feel very good about, if you're on Betway, if you're on DraftKings or something like that, a not Austin Lingo by finish bet in a parlay could be very, very interesting. Lingo by decision is interesting as well, because I don't think there's much value on Melquizael Costa's money line, or even on Melquizael inside the distance, Melquizael by decision. None of that really has too much value, but plus 350 for a guy that is not at all known for his finishes inside the UFC, I would say that's a sprinkle bet. Melquizael's a very tough guy. Lingo doesn't have much of a submission game. And Melquizael, I mean, showed solid defense for a while on Thiago Moises. So, yeah, that'd be about it for that fight. Stella Nunes, Victoria Dudakova. I will say Victoria Dudakova's odds are very, very legit in my opinion. Minus 182. It's a good money line bet, good parlay piece indeed. But it is women's MMA. Don't be pouring your whole entire bankroll into that. Fight goes the distance is minus money, which I found to be very, very interesting. I have Victoria inside the distance. So I would say Victoria Dudakova in round number 1, round number 2. They usually have that on some of these, but I'm not necessarily seeing that. Let's see. Yeah, it's not on here. So Victoria Dudakova inside the distance would be my interpretation here, or Victoria Dudakova by a submission, which is at plus 200. You're not getting much more, so I just do plus 163, plus 160 on Dudakova inside the distance. Half unit on that, or you do the full 2 units on the money line. Tucker Lutz and Melsik Bagdasaryan. I do believe it's 50-50 on if Melsik gets the decision or if he's able to get the TKO. But this isn't one I feel too strongly about prop-wise, considering the money line is getting better and better and better. There's a lot of money coming in on Tucker Lutz at the moment, with Melsik around minus 160 range on most, minus 158 at best. I'd say just wait a little bit. You might actually get close to plus money odds on Melsik Bagdasaryan. He'll still be the favorite by fight night, but the money line odds on Melsik are 100% getting better and better and better. Again, Melsik by TKO, plus 215. Melsik by decision, plus 180. I'm not really liking that. I would actually just wait for this one. See if you can get minus 120, minus 130 by fight night. If not, it's no worries. But if you are able to get that, that is going to be very, very interesting odds for Melsik Bagdasaryan. So I'd wait on that money line getting a little bit better, because there's a lot of money coming in on Tucker Lutz for some reason. Wait, Terrence McKinney and Nazim Sadikov. This one is the smallest of sprinkles on Terrence McKinney by decision. I don't see Nazim Sadikov going down. I'll be honest with you. Nazim Sadikov's scorecard is no action. Could be interesting. But I think if Terrence McKinney would win, it'd probably be a finish. But there's a chance his coaches have been working with him to be out there and be more patient. When he hurts him, not to just go for broke and search for the finish. He's got more power than Nazim, more finishing potential than Nazim, and I'll be honest here. You're not getting much for McKinney inside the distance, but you look at McKinney by decision. I know he's got 0 wins by decision, 0 losses by a decision. It's where the value is. That is where the value is. Terrence McKinney by decision is plus 1,200. This is like $1, $2, $5, $10, whatever. Very, very small amount of money on this bet, but I think it's the most valuable bet of the fight, because Nazim Sadikov is really, really tough. If McKinney goes out there, wins round 1 by landing a big shot on him, saves enough in his gas tank to win round number 2, and then just survives round number 3, I think it's very possible. Much more than like 8% chance of that decision. So I'd say if you're going to bet on the props, that is the most valuable bet. And then I would say the value is on the underdog here. The value is on the underdog. I was expecting McKinney to open as the favorite, but surprisingly not. And he's still the underdog as of right now. Plus 130 is the best you're going to get him at. So underdog, little sprinkle on Terrence McKinney, or McKinney by decision are very, very valuable bets. Francisco Prado, and where is the Atman Azaitar? The odds are getting very, very close. Very, very close. Francisco Prado is now the underdog. Yes. We got another underdog winning. I'm so happy about that, because we had Josh Parisian until that fight got canceled. I thought Junior Park was going to be the underdog. We had Chelsea Chandler as an underdog, Terrence McKinney as an underdog as well, and that would have been it. But now we got Francisco Prado as an underdog as well. He's at minus 107, which is very interesting. I'm digging it. So I would wait. Money line wise, there seems to be some money coming in on Atman Azaitar at the moment. It's kind of random, just randomly right there. Probably earlier today. So I just wait on that money line to get a little bit better odds, maybe get into that plus money territory for Francisco Prado. Now, there's another one. I got Prado inside the distance. I got Prado by TKO plus 150, plus 175 for Francisco Prado by knockout. Come on, guys. We're not doing that. You know, if you've watched the channel, you know where this is headed. Francisco Prado by decision plus 650 to go out and beat Atman Azaitar in a very, very close fight. He lost to Jamie Malarkey by decision. Before that, had a 100% finish rate. Atman Azaitar there with his almost 100% finish rate, only one decision over Kevin Koldoboski earlier on in his career. I don't care. I really don't care. Every time this happens, so much money comes in on inside the distance. It's crazy. It is insane how much money comes in on fight ends inside the distance. I mean, it started at minus 250, which was fair. Now it's at plus 325. I'm going to say it right now. Fight goes to a decision. A little bit of a sprinkle. Or Francisco Prado by decision, a little bit of a sprinkle, and of course wait for that money line of Francisco Prado to get a little bit better because he's an underdog now. We're getting better odds. Norma Dama and Chelsea Chandler in, what do they call it? The featherweight division. I was trying to remember if it was still a bantamweight fight, but it is a featherweight fight. First thing, underdog or pass, of course, Chelsea Chandler at plus 130. She was at plus 180 to start, immediately actually became the favorite for a few days. And then she was an underdog, plus 130, and then boom, she dropped down below to like plus 115, and now she's staying around that plus 120, plus 110 range. But if you can get plus 130, that is very, very solid. She's not going to go out there and finish Norma Lama, in my opinion, but there's not a lot of featherweight women's MMA fighters, and Chelsea wants to fight for that vacant belt. She's going for that finish very, very hard. So I don't like too much of the props here. The decision prop is not much of value at plus 300, plus 225. Even inside the distance is pretty much the same odds. I say underdog or pass. I wouldn't worry about the props or anything like that. Albert Duraev and Junyoung Park in the middleweight division. Let's see. Minus 145 is the best you're going to get Junyoung Park. I wouldn't bet it. I was actually assuming Junyoung Park was going to be the underdog coming in. I do have him winning. I would say underdog or pass, even though I wouldn't really want to put much money on Albert Duraev after his kind of lackluster performance in his last fight. Minus 115 isn't bad, though. To go to a decision, that's not bad at all. Considering, I mean, would I want to do a Park by decision? There's not much there. Duraev by decision. There's a little bit more on Duraev by decision, but I feel pretty good about neither of these guys finishing the other. Albert Duraev coming off at two decision wins in the UFC over Roman Kopylov and Chidi Njokuani. Got a decision win on Piotr Struss, and that's just in his last 5 fights. 3 of them were decisions. And he did get the submission on Caio Bittencourt, who's much, much lower level than Junyoung Park, and the Joaquin Buckley was a doctor stoppage. That was on his way to going to a decision if there was no doctor stoppage. Earlier on, obviously, he's getting finish after finish after finish after finish. But if he loses, it's by TKO, and that's due to his opponents kind of outstriking him on the feet. And I know Junyoung does have some solid power in his hands, but for the most part, the man has not had a single knockout win in 5 years. I don't think he's going to go out there and knock him out. He's more of a submission guy, and I don't really expect him submitting Albert Duraev. Got decisions over John Phillips, Marc-Andre Barriault, and Tafon Chukwi. Got robbed a robbery type of win because I thought Eric Anders won that fight on Eric Anders. Then he got very low-level guys after that. Joseph Holmes has horrible submission defense. Same for Dennis Chulin. And Albert Dorayev is not Anthony Hernandez. Doesn't have that submission skills. Doesn't have the power of a Gregory Rodriguez. So I actually feel very good about that minus 115. Put that and Jack Della Maddalena in a parlay. Got yourself some solid odds. Holly Holm and Mayra Bueno Silva in the main event. What a banger. What an absolute banger in the women's bantamweight division. Not really liking the money line too much at the moment. Not too much in my opinion. We're going to refresh just in case the odds have changed. Yeah, she's an even bigger favorite now at minus 177. So no, I wouldn't actually put too much of anything on Holly Holm's money line. Or the decision even. Mayra Bueno Silva, that is true though. She's never been finished by Marina Moroz, Manon Fiorot. She's been able to finish a lot of her opponents as well. Holly Holm, I don't really remember the last time she's been submitted. Has she ever been? I don't even think so. Has she been submitted ever? No. I mean, I don't know. You could do the Holly Holm decision, but again, I highly doubt there's good odds on that. Highly doubt that. Let's see. Yeah, it's dog doo-doo. It's dog doo-doo. We're gonna pass on this fight. I don't like it. It's high level women's MMA considering, I mean, they're both in the top 10 of the women's bantamweight division, but for all I know, Mayra Bueno goes out there, submits her in round 1. Holly lands her signature head kick. I don't know. There's not enough value on Holm by decision. Not enough value on the underdog or the money lines. I'd pass on the main events. That is it for the betting breakdown. We're going to pass on that main event with the Holm Bueno Silva. We're going to do goes to a decision for Junyon Park, Albert Durayev. Underdog bet on Chelsea Chandler, Francisco Prado underdog in a few days once we get some better money line odds, and then a little sprinkle on Prado by a decision, a little bit of a sprinkle on Terrence McKinney by decision, and a small bet on McKinney underdog. Melsik Bagdasaryan, we're just going to wait for that money line to get a little bit better. Victoria Dudakova's money line, very good. Inside the distance, also very solid. Austin Lingo by decision prop, the smallest sprinkle of the smallest sprinkles. Not a fight you want to put too much money on. Genaro Valdez as an underdog, or fight goes to a decision, or Evan Elder by a decision. All are valuable bets. Azat Maksum by decision, also very valuable. Do not parlay Azat Maksum. Alex Munoz, you could wait for a little bit of better odds in the coming days. Or you could just do the Alex Munoz by decision. That'd be about it for that fight. Aylin Perez, Ashley Evans Smith, do not bet it. Do not freaking bet it. That fight is a no-go. From the top to the bottom, those are the betting breakdowns for UFC Fight Night Holm versus Bueno Silva. Make sure to smash like, subscribe, and comment your bets down below in the comment section. Yeah, thanks for watching.